Let us discuss division Rhodophyta. The Rhodophyta are generally called red algae. The red algae are groups of algae that are typically marine, and of course, majorly marine, and of course they are called red algae because of the color that they mostly possess. Alright, the word Rhodophyta is gotten from two Greek words which are rhodon and phyta. So of course rhodon in Greek means rose, the rose plant, so the rose flower. Of course you know that the very peculiar thing about rose is its redness. So because of the Rhodophyta possess red color, so they are named after the rose flower. And they are basically red because of the possession of certain pigments, which I will mention later on. Now, phyta simply means plant-like. So because, of course, they are plant-like, that is because they are the ancestors of one of the ancestors of our modern plants, modern day plants. They are, called phyta. So we have Rhodophyta, meaning rose and plant-like. Now, the pigments that give this group of organisms their red coloration are altogether called phycobilins. Phycobilins. The phycobilins that are found in red algae are called the phycoerythrine, and the phycocyanine, right? So basically, the type of phycoerythrine found in the red algae are phycoerythrine. And now, if you notice, you see the word erythrine from erythrocytes, red blood cells. So basically, the phycoerythrine is by and large concerned with that redness coloration that the red algae possess. Now, this does not mean that every time you see a red algae, you're going to see them exhibit a red color. The kind of color that they exhibit is dependent on the depth that they inhabit in the water. So, for example, if they inhabit shallow water column, they are going to exhibit a range of colors ranging from green to brown. And sometimes when they inhabit even deeper waters, they exhibit red colors, even up to black, right? So they also possess pigments like chlorophyll. They possess the universal chlorophyll A, and of course they also possess the chlorophyll B. Now, the chlorophyll A, the reason why the chlorophyll is actually green in color, but the reason why it doesn't is not exhibited phenotypically is that the phycoerythrine is able to mask or cover this chlorophyll A because it is more abundant. Phycoerythrine is more abundant than chlorophyll A, so it's able to mask this color from being exhibited. So of course it exhibits the red color, and of course the depth in what I said is also a factor for the kind of color that it exhibits. So if you find it, the red algae are generally known for exhibiting very deep waters. So for inhabiting very deep waters. So when you find them in very deep waters, you can find them as in depth as as deep as 200 meters in the water. So when you find them in regions like this, of course it's close to being in the mesopelagic zone, you know that of course the sunlight can penetrate up to 1,000 meters in the water column. So, but of course, this depth of water is not going to be useful for photosynthesis again. So, the depth, the spectrum of the white light that penetrate the deepest is the blue wavelength. So, what it does is that the red algae, by virtue of the possession of this pigment, it is able to absorb the blue wavelength, which is the deepest penetration. So all of this spectrum of light also penetrates, but the deepest penetrating is the blue wavelength. So it absorbs the blue wavelength to be able to photosynthesize, and it also reflects the red. So basically, if it's in the mesopelagic zone, you know that when we treated zonation of aquatic organisms, in our last video, we talked about the fact that organisms in the mesopelagic zone are usually red in color. So we expect that these red algae, they're found in that close to that zone, they are going to be red in color. So they reflect the red light and absorb every other spectrum of the light. So that is their coloration. Okay. Now the red algae, we know that they are classified into two classes. Basically, the Floridophysi, and the Bangiophysi. Okay. We do know that the majority of red algae are in this group, and according to data, about more than 6,700 groups, in fact 6,793 species have been named in this group. So majority of the red algae are in that group, and while only 200 species have been named in this group. So the most common of the Floridophysi, of course they are called the Floridophysi because the form in which their food is stored is called the Floridian starch. Floridian starch. So which is similar to amylopectin. So they basically have the basic structure of starch, which is C6H10O5N. So you know it's a polysaccharide. So they both have the Freudian starch and amylopectin would have this as their empirical formula. All right. So we have the Floridophysi. Examples of some of them are the Gracilaria, which is called it's commonly called the agar weed. It's called the agar weed. And we also have the Gelidium. We have the Palmaria palmata. The Palmaria palmata is commonly called Dulce. Now we also have we have the Glaciaria. We have the Chondrus crispus. He is one of the most common species in this group, the Chondrus crispus. It has a general name Irish moss. Now it is called the Irish moss because during the Irish famine, it was commonly used as food because it's very abundant in their waters in Ireland. So they commonly use Irish moss as food. So the Chondrus crispus is the Irish moss. We also have now in the Bangiophysi we have the Porphyra. The Porphyra species. Porphyra is a very large group of Rhodophyta. So and they are commonly called nori. Some are called lava. In nori is a Japanese word for the Porphyra, and that's because it is very useful for preparation of sushi or sushi. Sushi is a staple food in Japan, so they use nori or lava, which is a Porphyra, to prepare sushi. All right, so Floridophysa, you see, is the most abundant, and the Bangiophysi are less. We have the Porphyra, we have the Gigatina or something. Gigatina are one of the Bangiophysi. Well, major groups, Polysyphonia. Polysyphonia is in this group, Gelidium is in this group, Gracilaria is in this group, and they are very economical they have very good economical importance. That's the red algae altogether. Because they are good source of phycolloids, certain phycolloids, right? Phycolloids gotten from plants colloids. So colloids that are derived from plants. We have about 4 of them. We have the alginates, the agar, and carrageenan. So agar and carrageenan are mostly extracted carrageenan. They are the most, this is also called carrageenan. So where this is changed to I. So algae and carrageenan are the most common phycolloids that are extracted from Polycyphemia, especially Chondra species, Palmyra palmata, and this, the carrageenan, is a good source of carrageenan. Another type of Floridian starch, the Rhodophyta, is the Corallina officinalis. Alright, this is basically called the coralline algae. And of course, from the name, you know what it is functioning as. The coralline algae is an algae that is found in the coral reef. It's found in the coral reef. In fact, it plays a vital role in the secretion of calcium carbonate. It is known to secrete even larger percentage of the calcium carbonate that forms the coral reef, more than even the coral polyps themselves. So they form the coral reefs. Hence, the name coralline algae. They are usually red in color when they are found in the coralline algae and the coral reef. Alright, so that's basically about their function and the extracts that are gotten from them. Another thing we have to know about the red algae is their mode of reproduction. Now, their mode of reproduction is mostly sexual, but especially in the Bangiophyceae, we see some form of asexual reproduction, and the asexual reproduction here is fragmentation. So if you remember in the beginning of algae, we introduced us to algae. I told us about fragmentation. Fragmentation is basically the breaking off of the entire plant, which is called the thallus. So the breaking off of that plant in the water to when it lands on another substrate begin to germinate again into a new plant is called fragmentation. So the fragment breaks off and then begin to germinate new ones. Of course, the Rhodophyta are known to exhibit sexual reproduction. Most of them exhibit sexual reproduction, and their sexual reproduction is they exhibit a peculiar type of reproduction known as alternation of generation. Of course, this is not a type of reproduction. It is just in their life cycle. Alternation of generation is their life cycle. In fact, the red algae are known to exhibit three types of alternation of generation. But this will basically be discussed in another video. So, alternation of generation, they exhibit between a diploid generation and an haploid generation. So, the red algae actually exhibits two diploid generation and one haploid generation. So, they exhibit alternation of generation. Alright, so that is basically for the red algae. We said they are named after the rose plant because of their red coloration, and of course, so they are showy, they are very beautiful in appearance. The stock food that stock Floridian starch, that is basically the two groups. These are the two classes, class Rhodophyta and class Bangiophyceae, which are 6,793 species as of 2022, and Bangiophyceae 200 species. Then we have the Gracilaria, which is a good source of, which is called the Algae, which is a good source of Algae. Then the Gelidium, which is also a good source of Carrageenan, Palmyra palmata, also known as Dulce. The common name of this is Gelidium species. So there are many species in that group. Chondrus crispus, which is called the Irish moss, and of course the coralline algae, which helps in building the coral reef. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Do well to subscribe to the channel as we bring related content, contents that are related to biology basically, and fisheries and aquaculture. God bless you as you do so, and have a nice day.